It's only the top 6 players now who can really win this event. But Hikaru, of course, in the driver's seat. This is going to be so important. Hikaru playing the C3 Sicilian that has a very solid reputation. I played this against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave for the first time about 30 years ago. And
oh, we have an en passant.
We have en passant.
Yeah. Check it off on the bingo card.
There we go. We need bingo cards for Title Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's the next step for our audience at home. And another en passant.
one.
Whoa.
They're like London buses. You wait all your life for one. Two come along at the same time. Okay.
That's a great analogy.
Hikaru, is he going to defend this threat of wrecking his pawn structure? He keeps going into these positions when he can, like super dull, queens off early, bore the opponent to death. MVL likes his endgames too, though, so I'm not sure this strategy will work. We'll find out. Maybe we'll see. I was going to say the black king castling over. Hikaru now slightly better, according to the eval bar, but it does look like a very balanced position.
And I at first thought that both of the images were frozen, but no, Maxime, he is just so slightly moving his eyes. He's like very concentrated. He's taking this very seriously and trying to compete with Hikaru for a win in the Title Tuesday. Maxime, he hasn't won this year so far, and he would like a win in Title Tuesday as well and make himself more relevant in the fight for qualifying to the Esports World Cup.
Yeah, he's so good when he's on form. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, of course, former World Blitz champion at the World Cup recently. He had a crazy Armageddon battle where he was so speedy and defeated a very, very strong opponent with so much time still on his clock. But this position is hard for black now. The problem is there's 2 threats. Bishop takes pawn is a big, big threat. That's probably the one you want to guard against, but also the white knight jumping in. This is a tender spot that's hard to defend. The black rooks will have to go very, very passive. And he doesn't go for that yet, Hikaru. Still on the table for next move. Maybe he's deciding which way to go with the white knight. This is a very pleasant position for him. This is Hikaru at his best. He knows exactly what he wants from a position, and black's pieces retreating. If he wins this game, Hikaru, it's much more deserved than his previous win. That is for sure. The knight going around now.
He looks a bit cramped, the black pieces. Poor fella.
Traffic jam. It's rush hour. That is, yeah, not looking good at all for black's pieces. And now the knight is coming around with some sneaky ideas. Trying to trade off bishops. Does he dodge that bishop trade? Go attacking black's rook now. Hikaru with lots of tempting moves. That means he'll probably burn a bit of time on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, they've played really fast. We've ended up in this endgame, and they barely spent a minute. This was quick.
Yeah. MVL once played, I think it was a 60-move game, and he ended up with like 10 minutes more on his clock when he started with, because he kept gaining on the increment. He didn't pause once, and it wasn't even preparation. He was just so confident.
Wow. I feel like that's also a part of it, like the psychology of playing against somebody who just plays their moves immediately and plays really fast. It's very uncomfortable because then you're like, oh, I'm making it so easy for my opponent. But both of these two are playing incredibly fast. They're keeping up with each other.
They really are. And Hikaru, it feels like maybe more pressure on him to actually create something. There we go. He tries to sacrifice a pawn to get his rook active. Now black has 2 isolated pawns. But Maxime suddenly turning the tables. He does get his rook active. And look at the black rook. It's done a lot of work in the last few moves. And blunder. Blunder. That was the most obvious move in the position, but he walked into a knight fork. Hikaru, it's just the stars aligning.
Yeah, but this is exactly how it happened for Magnus as well. And I was like, how relatable do you feel like it is that the top players in the world, even they make this kind of mistake?
Yeah, it's comforting.
Yeah.
Absolutely comforting. They are not gods. They are people like you and I, and they can do the same pathetic mistakes sometimes.
Hikaru got his speed sometimes, but okay, this is still not over. We do see black with a knight and a pawn. It's a very strong knight in return for the rook, but Hikaru is reminding Maxime that he has weaknesses on both sides of the board. The black bishop wants to, however, counterattack in the near future. I have a feeling Hikaru's plan will depend on him getting his rook active. It's just how to do that, whether he puts a rook behind a pawn and starts opening things up on this side. The white bishop sitting on an odd square now, and maybe it will continue sitting on odd squares just to try and hit those weird black pawns, that pawn mass on that right flank. But Hikaru, so far so good. Can he get it done?
They have a lot of time. This is the first time they have really been excessive on time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's normally Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. He dictates the pace whenever he plays. But Hikaru and Magnus, they both use clock as a weapon. That's why they're so good and consistent in this time format. We see some exchanges. Hikaru's happy with open lines because he has the long-range piece. The rook. What do we think? Surely this is not going to trip him up, this game, Hikaru. Surely it's going to go down to round 11.
Yeah.
But I feel like it also depends on the fact if Hikaru is able to kind of keep one pawn on the right side of the board, because if that gets traded off in any way, then suddenly it becomes way harder to actually understand how to win this. So he needs to be a little bit mindful now in these next moves to keep that pawn existing. And he is spending some time now, like you're saying, Aslak. But they do... But he is trying to make some progress, and he is now trying to go after the bishop and perhaps the 2 pawns on the right side.
Mm-hmm. And your words are resonating, Aslak. GM blunders. Everyone feels like they can be a GM too now.
Yeah.
It's nice to see.
There's also something a bit comforting about seeing GMs playing other GMs, because then it seems they don't get to show their real strength.
Yeah.
You don't see how good they actually are because they're not allowed to play at their strength.
Yeah, and also like in the first rounds, that's the only time when we really see like them really crushing somebody, and then it gets way more even. And even here, we're wondering, can Maxime make a comeback? Because it isn't obvious how Hikaru is supposed to make any progress here.
Yeah, everything's defended for black. Like the black pawns are defended by their minor pieces right now. The black bishop defends the base of the chain here. The black knight kind of keeping everything protected on the other flank. It will come down to whether Hikaru can move his bishop around. He's actually trading things off now. But if he can move his bishop around and win this black pawn, then probably he gets there. But whoops, that's a runaway pawn. You've got to keep half an eye on that one. The white bishop is covering its advance, though. Now he's going around with his king. He's freed up his king. He's going hunting with that piece now. And Maxime struggling. He needs to land a knight fork. Knights are so tricky, but the bishop will always dodge. And the knight can never go forward. The bishop dominates the knight now. It controls both of these 2 diagonals, meaning the knight cannot move. And there we go. Desperation from Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, who's cleared one side of the board. But exactly what Maud said here. The H-pawn is going to decide the game. He kept it alive.
He can still lose it in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still worried.
Yeah,
But he needs to be precise now to get that perfect score. Come on, Hikaru.
he's so close. It's always near the finishing line where you see the accidents happen, right? Like, ooh, you don't blunder a knight fork. That's a good idea. Keep the king on a light square, the rook on a dark square. They cannot be forked by a knight. That is the rule in quick chess when you're trying to be speedy. Keep them as far away from each other as possible. How to advance the pawn. 48 seconds.
What do you think, Aslak? Would you manage this?
No, not at all. No.
I think you would. I think you'd have a good chance.
Yeah.
Is this easily winnable for white?
Yeah, I think as long as you keep the rook far away from the knight, it should be easily winnable.
I don't think I would lose this.
No.
Winning is the more difficult part.
Yeah, but it is a little bit difficult now that Maxime has gotten his king kind of in the way of the pawn, and he's got all of his pieces very close together.
Yeah, and how to advance. The king steps forward. That's a check. The king sidesteps. The black knight is running out of squares, and it might find itself trapped. I think this is game over. If the black knight moves away, then the white rook steps up with a check, drives the black king away from the defense, and there's no way to defend it. We'll see now. Everything happens. It's not going to be stalemate. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave resigns Hikaru on 10 out of 10.
Wow. Hikaru, he can follow what